Assalamu alaikum, Taskeen, and welcome to the Tarbiyah Project Podcast.
Walaikum salam, Sarah.
So,
Happy to be here.
yeah, so good to have you here. I'm going to start off the podcast with a narration, and it is a narration by Ibn Abbas, who said, "The Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said to a man while advising him, 'Take advantage of five things before they are gone. Of the five things are your youth before your old age, your health before your illness, your wealth before your poverty, your free time before you become occupied, and your life before your death.'" So, the primary purpose of our conversation today would be to really focusing on our time and the way we're using it so that we can use it and maximize it to the best of our abilities and be in submission and service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the ummah at large, inshallah. That is the ultimate goal of our Tarbiyah Project and the Moms of Jannah Facebook group as well. So Taskeen, I'm so honored to have her on as she's the first guest of our podcast, and she is an integrative health practitioner and also a passionate productivity content creator for on Instagram, and she is specifically focusing on Muslim moms, which is amazing. So again, once again, welcome Taskeen. I'm so happy to have you here. And I think whenever we're having conversations like this, I think it's really good to just start with some basic terminologies. And so I would love to get a little bit of a background from you and understand where your passion for productivity came from. How do you define productivity? Why is this important?
Yeah, that's a great starting point because sometimes we get wrapped up in terms or fads and think that we're lacking in some way because we're not doing something. But it's always good to take a step back and say, well, what is it? And does it work for me? And why is it something that I need? So productivity, I think it's always been part of me, like even like from high school, when it comes to studying and managing my time and being focused and working towards a goal. And then I spent 10 years in corporate where we are measured on the goals and deliverables and how you are multitasking and managing different projects. And then when I stepped into motherhood, I was like, first, it hit me like a ton of bricks because it's just like, whoa, where's the manual? There's the baby and all this feeding, and like nothing is like stopping. And until I realized, wait a minute, there is an opportunity here for me to build in some system, some routine, a rhythm that makes me feel like there is some kind of control, some structure,
Mhm.
and so that I don't get lost, and then I can actually enjoy what I'm doing, as opposed to just being like one thing after another, which is usually what happens in those first weeks and first months.
Yeah.
So I'd say, productivity has always been a theme. And then when I started applying it, I saw the chance to apply it to motherhood. And that kind of also led me down the path of starting a blog and actually sharing some of the things that were working for me, because I know, just talking to friends, how lots of new moms struggle with this and like finding that balance in the whole picture.
Yeah.
So productivity for me is about doing the best you can or using your time in the most purposeful way. It's not about doing more in that time, which maybe in corporate and a kind of a capitalist mindset is what they want. But it's really for me being, like you said, being purposeful and using your time towards the maximum gain, whatever that means. And as Muslims, we know what, spiritually, and we want to please Allah in whatever we're doing. That's our ultimate gain. And then there's also like steps before that in terms of our responsibility to community, to family, to our children, and then and to ourselves as part of that.
Yeah. I love that definition that, productivity is being more purposeful with our time rather than doing more
Yeah,
and getting more accomplished at the end of the day.
yeah. Because what is that doing? Sometimes, because let me say, on the spectrum for moms, we can also go the other way, where, and we might be observing this in our own families, where it's all about doing more and adding to our plate, and then thinking that that means we are successful. but it comes at a cost when you're doing that in that way, because you get burnout, you get resent, you then I feel like it just comes at a price that unless you stop and say, is this what I want, is this right for me, you just gonna end up with the result that you're actually not pleased with at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing you say is that true productivity in light of Islam is using your time in the most purposeful way that is also sustainable for
Mm,
us and
mm,
also for our families.
yeah.
So if and I love that, because I feel like it's a part of our deen that consistency is the key, right? There's so much emphasis on consistency rather than having this hike of doing this like amazing having this amazing day one day and then
Yeah.
completely plummeting the next day. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm glad that we understood the definition of productivity. And um when you're thinking about productivity in that way, before we even get into like the systems and the tips and the tricks, what mindset shifts do you feel like are important for women to realize or come towards before they even like commit to any kind of systems?
So I think we're thinking about moms, right? Especially in that context. Yeah. There's a few things that we can look at right from the outset. One is about, I'm really passionate about, and that's about balance. Because yes, there is an element, of course, there's going to be an element of sacrifice that comes with motherhood, and that's where our reward comes from, and our status as mothers. But there's a balance on the spectrum that I'm talking about. So having that mindset right from the get go, I think, can be life changing for you, because if you just think that it's only about giving, then you're going to reach a point where you're not going to be able to do this. Something's going to give, your health, your relationships, or something else, your own personal goals. Something's going to give. So having the mindset of, I am part of this picture, and motherhood is my one of my roles, but I have other things to offer, and I have other ways of worshiping Allah too. And especially I feel like sometimes as moms, our spiritual goals take a back seat sometimes, because we like everybody else and everything else, and then we're like, where do I, like in Ramadan, like where do I get a chance to read my Quran, for example? So having this mindset that yes, how mm, look at makes you then find ways. Later on, we'll talk about how you can get that balance, but it makes you already want to find ways to be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
Another thing, which has also been part of my personal healing journey with motherhood, has been a mindset of accepting, like, trial and error, that
Mm,
everything's just not going to come in one go. Whereas maybe in a work context, was a bit easier for me, because we have a specific models or a system. This is just the way we do it, and this is the outcome I can expect as a result of that. Plug and play. And in motherhood, it's like you making up the play all the time. And then sometimes it doesn't work. You have to try a different tactic, whether it comes to time management, whether it comes to raising children. And one tactic that works today doesn't work the next day. So I found, that's just where so much of patience comes in. But it's linked to having a growth mindset, as in, okay, this didn't work. Let me try something else. Uh, let's let this day end. Let me start fresh tomorrow. Being able to renew yourself in this way, and that's why it's important to have tools that help you to do this. These are the kind of things that will really set you up for a more productive, more I don't want to say successful, because that's different for everyone, or that's not really the aim, but for a more balanced, wholesome experience of motherhood and of your journey and in being a mom and a woman going through those years and that transition.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the balance is important, and then um, the other thing you said was growth mindset. So just being able to learn through the trial and errors rather than when you feel like you might have failed, like something, or the day didn't go as you planned, then taking it personally and saying, oh my God, like this is the worst, I can never do that, just getting really really upset about that, and rather than just saying, okay, well, I can try different things.
Yes, yes. And you're right about taking it personally. I think this is a big one. This is what really brings us down. When something doesn't work, I suck at motherhood. I'm not good at this. I mean, what it can't be this, because it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. It's each person's own experience. And if something doesn't work with the child, then thinking I'm never going to be able to get through to them, or but yet, I always think this, that Allah has placed, I always have this difficult child, but I think Allah has placed you as a mother and this child together in this partnership. That's Allah's choice. And then I think, okay, Allah, you put me in this. You're going to help me through this then.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be a way. So these are the things that we have to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Is there's endless ways and possibilities and things we can do to
Mm.
improve ourselves, right? And nowadays, with the amount of these, I never had, like, I'm a mom now, it's about 8 years, right? Parent coaching was probably just about, like, especially Muslim parent coaching, just about starting then, if at all. It's now, more recently that I see more of this, more access to this kind of resources. That
Yeah.
is so amazing and so supportive. And especially when I see for the older kids, like teenage years and stuff. That's going to be amazing. I'm not there yet, but that's going to be amazing, as for us to reach out for. But you have to have that willingness to learn, and I'm sure you see this with the people you work with as well. They're coming hungry for wanting ways to be able to improve, because we realize that we need that support, and that's
Yeah.
so important.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I love that. I love that we can uh, try and not feel like we don't have to feel like we're committed to a certain system if it
Mm.
doesn't work for us. In all of that, how do you feel about, I think what also gets to people is like, okay, so they take it personally.
Mm.
Um, and I think something that you talked about, that we connected on, on Instagram, is, which I loved, is that you also talk about moms being the CEOs of their home.
Yes.
Regardless of whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom, you are a mom and you are the CEO of your mom. And I think what gets in the middle of that is, especially with social media, there's so much of a hustle culture.
Mm.
And that hustle culture a lot of times is applied to like business and all of those things. But because we have so much access to information, a lot of moms are also consuming that. And it
Mm.
feels like when you're looking at another mom and she's studying and she might be like, working, or she might be doing things, or have a very organized home, or whatever it may be, like there's that comparison. So how do
Mm.
you kind of talk to that mom who's listening and saying, like, maybe I'm the one who's just, there's something wrong in me, and maybe I'm not able to keep up.
um, I have something that really shifted my mindset that I can share with the viewers of this and the followers on your page. Is thinking of, in our motherhood journey, thinking of it as seasons. So, for example, when they were babies, yes, and I'm scrolling on. Actually, I had to put my phone away for a few months because it was just too much. I was just, whenever I saw other moms, they were traveling or they were doing, achieving things. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I am just sitting in this room breastfeeding. I was expressing, this is my life. And I'm like, whoa, this is what it means. And then I came across something, and I don't even remember when, and I wrote a post about it actually, and it hit me. I was about, no, you know what? This is the season I'm in, and I'm not going to get this season again.
Mhm.
But what really stood out was the fact that thinking that this is not going to be forever. So, like, okay, sure, you will get your time. And look, Alhamdulillah, I got my time. I managed to open my practice. I couldn't do it obviously at first, and I made that choice actually. So it's just really about understanding that you are at different stages based on your own responsibilities and based on the choices that you make. You might want to be a stay-at-home mom, or you need to work and you want to have that balance, whatever it is. own your choices as well. Then you're not like thinking, oh my God, am I missing out on this? Am I making the wrong choice? Decide what you want. This has come back to your purpose. Decide on your values, what's important to you, and then own it. Take that on and say, okay, I'm going to give my all with whatever what I'm doing. And of course, it's still a learning thing. You're going to still find days where you're stretched and you're not exactly getting that balance. But overall, you know that this is the season that I'm in right now, and another season will come, and another season will come, and that's just how life would go.
Yeah, so helpful. Okay, so now I'm thinking of the mom who has multiple things to do. And she's like, okay, well, that's great. I've got the growth mindset. I'm owning that, whatever I'm doing. But man, I have a list of 50 things to do. And I've tried all of this productivity stuff before. I've tried all the time management stuff, but it's not working out. So I think let's talk about, I think it really ties in together of owning, your decisions, and also like the values that you have, and then prioritizing.
Yes.
So how do we, there's so much for moms to do, and it's just a never ending list.
Yeah.
So how do you talk to a mom who is, maybe listening to this and they're saying, okay, well, that's great, but like, I'm alone, I don't have much help. I am the one who has to physically clean the house, put the dishes away, put my kids to bed. How do you prioritize that? Is there like a framework? Is there like, okay, well, this is number one, and then this is number two, and this is number three, and the rest you kind of leave for the next day? Like, how do we do that?
Okay, so there's a few ways you can go about this, right? You can start with like the bigger picture, which is defining in your season of life your values and what areas of your life you can work on. Because another thing I learned over time is, and when I was pushing myself, I was trying to do everything that I was doing before, and I couldn't. And then I was frustrated and things were taking long. So then I had to go and scratch things off and say, okay, for example, I wanted to restart. I have a blog I've been blogging from before it was famous to blog, right? From 2000 and I don't know, 5, 6 or something like that. And I wanted to work on that. This is like a long form website blog, right? Web blog. And you need time for that, and you need like space for that. And I couldn't do that. So in that one particular season of my life, especially when the kids were younger, it's a choice I made to say, well, I want to spend more time with them. I want to go for play dates. I want to be going out with them. And there are certain things. I'll have my personal time and my things that are important to me, but blogging, which needs so much more attention and things, for example, giving an example, was not on my list then. It's something, inshallah, we'll come to later. And guess what? That time came. I want to say this to the moms, so don't worry. It's not like you making a promise to yourself, you're going to let yourself down. No, you will get to it. So bigger picture, what's important? And then, and it can be, sometimes there's like 3 or 4 areas in your life that you are able to focus on in this moment, right? So you have those categories. Then one way of doing this is I used to take a page and divide it into however many categories you have going on at this time. Maybe it's 4 to 6 categories in your life. Personal, home, family, work if you're working, and there's certain things that you have to do besides the work, right? What else? Yeah, something like that. So then within that, you can now start to brain dump, take out all from your mind, all those 50 tasks are now going into, maybe some have fallen off because you realize, okay, you know what, this is not a season in my life to do renovations at home or something like that, right? For example, that one category is out. So those 50 now, less than that, put them into your category. So now that's on a page. Now from there, you can start, you've just taken it all out, you can start prioritizing. So you can do it for this month, what's my priority? Or for this week, what's my priority? And then from week, what's for the day, what's my priority? Mm-hmm. So it's like a kind of a cascading effect, starting right from the top, from the categories, going all the way down to your day.
Yeah.
So As a starting point, right?
That's great. The brain dump is great because also what we don't realize, a lot of us, is that there's so much in our head and we're having these like the mental load it takes to actually remember what to do and what to keep in our brain is actually a lot. So if you actually put it down and you can say, okay, you know what, I can come back to it later and I can actually just release, give myself permission to release it outside of my mind,
Yeah.
you're giving yourself power back.
Yeah.
And what I keep hearing you say, Taskeen, is, which I think is beautiful, you keep saying like owning it and taking control of it and deciding, all of these words that you keep using, which I absolutely love. I want to tie it back to this concept that we've learned in psychology, and it's this concept of locus of control. And it's this idea of how in control you feel of your surroundings. And of course, as believers, as Muslims, we know that the ultimate control is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But by His will, He has also placed us in roles and in situations where we also have ownership of certain things, like our children and our family and our homes and our marriages. So in that context, it's really important for us to take ownership of certain things rather than feeling like motherhood happened to us or marriage happened to us, and staying at home or working or balancing all of this has happened to us. There's a lot of empowerment in the fact that you're like now deciding, even though you might be doing the same thing, you're saying, okay, I am deciding to do this.
Yes,
Such a
absolutely.
different feel, such a different feel of that.
It is because otherwise then, it becomes so overwhelming, and that's when you start losing yourself and feeling like you don't have a say in the whole matter. Like things are just, and then day by day is just going. And then you get, that same cycle. Then you're looking at others and you're wondering when your time is going.
And that adds to the level of resentment that you were talking about. When you
Yes.
feel like it happened to you and you had no control in it, you feel so resentful of that whole situation.
No, and we don't want that. I want everyone to feel this joy, and even I was even using motherhood as a way to uh, grow yourself, and it is I think it is a way to elevate yourself. It's a huge self-development journey in and of itself.
100%. Absolutely, 100%.
And I think, you were asking me where productivity actually my productivity interest started from a motherhood point of view. It was in those early days when I was feeling like I don't have control. And then I just, I don't know how it all came about, but I somehow started hearing about like sleep training. I actually went for sleep training. I worked with a sleep consultant when my baby was about, I think, 6 months or so. And then I started like getting on top of setting up a routine. And I mean, I think you get two camps, right? So when it comes to moms of babies, you get one camp that are the go with the flow kind, and we all have those friends who just like, yeah, I think she's hungry. Okay, I'll feed them. Okay, that's the next. Okay, pat them to sleep. That's it. And then you get the others that have routines and they have a schedule. And guess which camp I fell in, right? No prizes for guessing. I loved having that predictability, and that's what having routines are meant for me. Was if somebody was asking me, are you available to meet at 2 p.m. on a Friday? I could tell you exactly what my baby would be doing at 2 p.m. on a Friday, and it's only Tuesday today, right? Because they were in a schedule, in a routine, and that gave me that control, that structure. So I could plan, this is the time I'm cooking, this is the time I have for myself. And I could get really on top of things. So I just want to share this because it's to make new moms also understand that there are many ways of managing your time, even with babies. And I've been doing that right till they were toddlers, and even up to now, in my like 8 and 6, my kids, and we have like a semi routine around this. Is a generally
Yeah.
lunchtime and how we do things, and it just gives the whole family understanding, and we just work our days around that, and so it's so helpful.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of sleep training as well.
Okay.
All of my babies are I have 4 kids and they're all sleep trained. But I do also understand that there are people who are against it, who, it is a controversial topic. So
People bringing it up.
I completely understand that. And I think, the disclaimer would be, if it's working for you and your family and your marriage, then good for you. I know for me, when I had my first baby, I felt that lack of, predictability and just the exhaustion of putting my baby to bed and then just not knowing when he'll go to sleep and when he'll wake up again. And then it was really impacting the marriage as well, right? Because obviously now I can't have any time with my husband if my baby's constantly waking up at nighttime. So I think it's really important for us to just recognize that. And again, if it's working for you, if another system is working for you, then that's great. We're just talking about what's worked for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when we're talking about prioritizing, I think I also want to bring in the concept of multitasking here. And well, firstly, just what are your thoughts on multitasking? You've been doing this for so long, like what, especially when it comes to multitasking in motherhood?
Hmm. Nowadays, I'm leaning towards not multitasking and what they call unitasking, because it's so that's like, yes, we do have a few things that might be going on, but when I'm doing something specifically with that effort, um, I prefer to be more conscious and present with what I'm doing. And I'm doing that a lot and a lot more nowadays. That's just, it's making me more productive as well. Because sometimes when you're multitasking, then your focus is in different directions and it's taking you longer to finish something, actually. So, what I'm really enjoying is, because I plan my day, I can do this because I don't feel like I'm going to get left behind, like forget something or get late, because I know what I'm doing. Then I can focus on that one task at a time. But if you don't have that plan, that's when you're going to start feeling like you need to get on top of things and do many things at one time.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right. So I like being conscious, because then I am fully involved with what I'm doing. My attention is there. I can enjoy what I'm doing better. And I feel like I can give more of myself if I do it that way. What do you feel about multitasking?
You know what you're talking about? I was just thinking, so many of the moms I'm speaking with now and working with, they really struggle with building in connection time with their children. And a lot of them, share this experience of not feeling like they can fully connect with their child because, like, if they're role playing or if they're playing with their kids or if the kids are older, like just sitting and talking, because at the back of their mind, they have all these house chores like cleaning and cooking and doing the laundry or just, so many other things, right? And so I think if you have a plan ahead and you can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to give my child, like, even if it's 5 minutes, and if you have multiple kids, like 5 minutes with each child, or it could be the other children are around, but you're consciously giving that child 5 minutes, because you know that when you're done with that, you can communicate to that child, like, okay, we had this wonderful time. I had such a great time with you, but I got to go back to cooking, or now I got to go back to, like, putting the dishes away. And so it's like so important, even in parenting, like building that connection with the child.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the same thing about, yeah, that especially unitasking with the child, especially that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think a lot of us, and also I think the phones and the social media and just the digital presence that we are living in nowadays, it really makes it difficult for us to, like, if nothing else, we are doing a task and we're also checking our phones and we're also scrolling. We're watching TV and we're also scrolling at the same time. We always feel like we're driving and we stop at a sign and we feel like, okay, let me just reply back to this one message, right? Like, we think that that's how we can be more productive. But what does, I'm sure that does a lot to our brain and our focus and our ability to, like,
Energy.
energy. Yeah.
That's our energy, because
Yeah.
it's mental, it's emotional when we scrolling. It's just it's very distracting, very consuming, you could say.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can share a system that I had with how I used to. I always trying different things, right? At one stage, I used to have I had two set times for social media. So I would have like a morning session that I'm allowed to scroll. Look, I'm also have to, content creation takes a lot of
Yes.
time. but
Yes.
but it's just for scrolling, let's say, because that can take a lot of time, or replying to messages and stuff. I'd have a morning session and I would have an afternoon session, maybe an evening session. So I knew those were my times. So I'm not checking my phone in between, and I'm not. I know if it's very urgent, people are going to call me. It's totally fine, or they'll text something. Have an agreement with your family. That's how they will contact you. So we don't feel like you need to constantly be picking it up. That's one thing. Another thing I used to do, or
Wait,
sometimes,
Taskeen, I'm going to pause you there. So how do you ensure that you don't reach out for the phone then? Like,
oh,
what's worked for you? Like, do you put it away somewhere? Do you like put it on charge? Do you put it in a different room?
yeah.
Like how do you create that friction so that it's just,
I
or is it just like self, like the will, you know?
It is, but when I set a goal, then I tend to just stick to it because I know that this is because what helps is when you know your why. Don't just do things for the sake of it. I know why I was doing. I knew that I was not happy with my behavior before, so I knew that this is why I'm doing this right now. I'm not just doing it for the sake of it. I didn't like what I was doing before, so that
Mhm.
was enough of a barrier. Putting it in another room, if you have an upstairs and downstairs, leaving it upstairs when you go down is amazing. You will not go upstairs for it to check. So yeah, these are also cool tactics.
I think
um,
that just because that this is a passion for me too, like productivity systems, routines as well. One thing that I came across was creating friction to the undesirable thing that you want, you know, that you don't want to be continuing. So if that means like putting in a different room or putting it in a drawer, and then not that you won't be able to like just go upstairs or not that you won't be able to pull it out of the drawer, but I think that gives you a second more to actually think. And
right.
so at that moment you can actually decide like I'm opening up the drawer to actually grab the phone again. Like, do I really want to do that? And then it gives you that pause to like put it
Yeah.
back inside.
Instead of the automatic habit
Right.
of just grabbing it and looking. That's
Right.
amazing. Exactly. Yes. um,
Okay.
Another thing I used to do is have a cut-off time for my phone. I still do that actually. So I know what time I'm picking up the kids. From the time I pick them up, 3:30, to 7:30 when they're in bed, or we start, bedtime is starting. I'm not on my phone, and
Mhm.
I won't check messages. I The thing is, you got to get it out of your system. So I had my session. I looked at it before, and if I didn't because I was busy or whatever, okay, sorry, that's it. Come back later. So this is another thing. We can build it into your timings so that you don't have to keep be having it around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that that's good to recognize too, like the way these devices are created and the way these social media platforms are created, just to understand as well that they really are created for an addictive behavior pattern. So I think for a lot of us, just to understand as well that we cannot outwill these boardrooms and these tech companies who've sat down with clinical psychologists and engineers literally to design these devices and platforms so that we can be connected to them all the time. So understanding that really gives you that level of like, okay, it's not that I'm failing, it's just that I'm just a
Yes,
human being.
yes,
And so
yes,
then creating the system outside of that is
yes,
really important.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, it's something that we can do for ourselves. So
We can. Yeah, there's always hope. There's always hope for change. You know, that's the premise we're running under.
we have
Okay, so let's go through some systems, like really get to the meat of, you know, like how do we create some systems? And you know, I would love for you to share systems that have worked really well for you over the years. Maybe they worked really well when you had like babies, or now that you're, you know, have slightly older children, that are like your top, must have systems
for time management,
for
diary management.
productivity, for time management, for kitchen meal prep, growth, anything, any like we're thinking all of home management, right? That comes under a
Okay.
mother's
Yes.
umbrella.
Since we are CEOs of our home.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Okay. So think of the CEO mindset. What would she do? Okay. So at one point, what I loved doing was for, let's say, time management for my week was having themed days. So
Mm.
Monday was reset day, for example. So that's cleaning, tidying, getting the kitchen, the fridge in order, and getting your whole week geared for the rest of the week.
Correct.
Tuesday, or maybe Tuesday was, I should call it like tidy Tuesday. So that was like, like those, that drawer that's like messy and you're going to get to it at some point, or just the shelf that has things that are not supposed to be there, maybe some filing. So that was like tidy Tuesdays, like all these loose ends that you want to get together. Then I think I had a self-care Wednesday. So it doesn't have to be a whole day. It's just a theme I give to the day, because you still got all the other things to do on those days. You still got to do cooking and the kids and whatever else. But this is so, and I had different days, and you can call them whatever you want, but it just firstly made it more fun, and also gave me like one focus area for that particular day. So that was very helpful. That I was doing that for a while.
Yeah, I love that.
Another system that I have is meal planning. What I do is I do a weekly plan. I know some people do longer and months, and they can batch cook and things. I used to batch cook before kids. I don't know what happened, because I was working and I used to come home at 5. I couldn't start cooking then. So yeah, I used to batch cook and have I used to, like on a Saturday, have 3 or 4 things on the stove going at any given moment. Pre-cooked, half-cooked, in the freezer, so that when I used to come from work, it used to be easy to just finish it. I don't know. I just haven't got that into that zone now. I think it's just so much that I just want to have one meal, cook, and I'm out of the kitchen. I think that's the thing. And weekends are for like outings or chilling. But batch cooking is a great thing. I learned from my friends, though. What they do is like you can at least do some of the prep work. So like like you're cooking Indian food, right? We're always going to need chopped onions, and you're going to need a few things. Get that done. Chop the tomatoes. Get that done early in the week. Chop the vegetables that you're going to use for the next 2 or 3 days. Certain things you can do in advance that just helps you with that step is done for the next day. So these are kind of like cool things for time saving. Otherwise, I plan for the week, in the weekend sometimes. I know what I'm making for the week. And then I can make my grocery list from that, so that I'm not rushing around. I feel like it's a waste of my time to use that time in the week to get the groceries, which is, it's nice. I don't mind doing it, but I just want to use my time for work or for myself when the kids are not at home. So I'd rather use the weekend for the groceries. So
Yeah.
that's why I plan in that way. Yeah, so that's 2 kind of systems I shared. What else? Okay, I can share a system for kids' snacks, after
Yes.
school snacks. I
Yes.
share tons of ideas on my page. My page pretty much almost started because of all the snack plate photos I was taking myself, just for myself. And then I started sharing that on my Instagram. So the page is full of ideas, but a simple structure, because, if you're going to, the point is to not have to think every single day and use all that mental effort to start from scratch with thinking. So that if you take out a lot of, that's why planning is so important, because it takes the thinking out and you can just like roll and execute. So with a snack plate.
Take a pause on that for
Yeah.
everyone. I think Taskeen just defined what a system is. A good system takes the thinking out of your everyday. So you create that system once, and that's what a CEO does, right? You create that system once.
Yeah.
And yes, you might need to tweak it, you might need to add things, you might need to go back to it and revise it, especially in the beginning. But once you've done that, you're taking the thinking out of it. Yeah, let's just
Yeah.
pause on that and just savor that for a minute.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I love how you add the definitions in there, because sometimes we're just doing these things without even realizing that there's actually a definition behind it, and a thinking. Okay, so the snack system is on my snack plate. So I'm not thinking from scratch. One carb for energy. So that can be like a sandwich, bread, crackers, energy bar, something like that, oats, something like that. A fruit or a vegetable, like carrot sticks, cucumber, or something cut up, and a protein. So cheese sticks or nuts, or peanut butter goes very well with fruits, like you can dip it in. Cream cheese, as an example. So that's a very balanced plate, a snack plate. And I literally rotate that every single day. And sometimes it's the same thing. They don't mind. But in my mind, I know that, okay, that I don't have to like go and now think from scratch. Yogurt is another one, can go under your protein. And you're just substituting that and there we go. A snack plate after school is ready.
Okay. You know what I'm hearing, Taskeen? I can like almost hear a mom watching this and saying, my child will never have carrot sticks, will never have cucumber, will, that's a very healthy plate that you just described. So I think, how do we build up to that when a child is snacking on, and no judgment here. This is a no judgment zone, but there are, my kids including, like, they'll come back and they want the crackers and they want the chips and they want the they want the cookies and that kind of thing. So how do we build up to a more healthier plate? Because that's the other thing you're a big advocate on, is like healthy snacking for kids.
Yes, yes. So we have a sugar-free zone home, actually. The kids have been raised that way. So their palate is used to this
Right.
vegetables and fruit. I mean, fruit is amazing. Fruit is sweet. That should count.
Yeah.
That should be an
Yeah.
easy
Well, I think it's kudos to you for having a sugar-free home. I think that's absolutely phenomenal. But I know it's not the reality for so many other
Yes. No,
moms
no,
who are
no,
listening.
of course, yeah.
And including mine, we're not there yet. And I just again want to go back to like the systems, the bigger systems that are at play, because all of it is impacting how we are raising our children, right? So again, going back to that digital example, sugar companies are literally spending a lot of time and energy and research around what sticks to your tongue and how that's actually an addictive element to that. So understanding that if your child is very acclimated to that taste, nothing else is going to give them that same level of high. Certainly not a less sugary fruit or vegetable. So it's okay if that's our starting point, but we can always build up. We
Yeah.
can include
No,
the crackers and still have like one carrot stick, or give we can still like build up and have applesauce, or something including in that.
you can, I mean, okay, there's so many ways you can do it. Firstly, you can just start by reducing. So just
Mhm.
quantities, right? Just go a little bit less and stick to it. If you stick to it, I promise you, you can get to anything, but stick to it. Second is you can slowly start doing substitutes. So if they were gonna have a cookie, if you finish, if you don't want to do the cutting, you can go like give them something else instead. You have to start introducing them if they haven't been used to the alternatives. You got to start introducing those tastes. So give them something on the plate that they like, and then give them the new thing, the healthier alternative at the same time. So they're getting used to it. And then you start building
And
up.
not expect them to eat it right away and say, "Oh, mama, that was delicious." Right?
But you
Not
know what?
expect, like, going slow even with your expectations.
Yeah, no, exactly. They don't think it's a total disaster. Promise me you're going to stick to it because it will take time. They will see it, they'll get used to it, but it has to be like that's how the habit is built. But you will also be very surprised. So I got loads of sugar-free recipes that I share, right? But now I make everything. I make cookies, I make muffins, pancakes, everything without sugar, and it is very possible. I have made for many years. I used to do my kids' birthday cakes, sugar-free, the topping and everything completely. And I used to have my friends' kids who were very sugar full, the opposite, right? Whatever the word is. And they used to always laugh about it. And she says, okay, let's see her big son. She said, like, okay, let's see how he's going to think of this cake. And I used canned pineapple in it, actually. Crushed pineapple. It was like a carrot cake, banana carrot cake. The boy asked for seconds, and she was shocked because he used to be on his sweets and candy, and he wanted seconds for this cake. And I said, it's so possible. You will be so surprised. You just don't know what your child would like and what they're capable of until you expose them to it. So
Okay, so we're
expose.
going to ensure that we put Taskeen's blog and all of these amazing, like where everyone can find all of these wonderful recipes and try it in their own homes. We're going to put that in whatever the description, the post beforehand, so you can access that as well. Because I'm thinking I need to try those cake recipes now. Okay, so we reduce and then we introduce,
Yes, yes.
lower our expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and be consistent.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
the
That's
main
it.
one.
Yeah, don't give up, just keep trying. It's the same with I mean my kids, alhamdulillah, they do eat lots of vegetables and it's very easy and they're used to it, right? They'll eat salad bowls and stuff. Also our time in Turkey helped a lot. They were very used to like
Yeah.
fresh tomatoes and cucumber in that cuisine, so they
Yeah.
got used to eating olives and stuff like that. It helped. But even up to now, if it's a new vegetable or something they haven't had in a while, what I do is I insist. I read this somewhere, and I've always been trying this. I say, okay, one bite. So they eat the rest of the stuff they used to. You have to have one bite, and then you tell me if you like it or don't like, and we discuss it. We talk about the nutrients and what's in it. I have to Google it sometimes. I don't know all this stuff, but and I read it to them. I said, "This is why it's healthy," and then we talk about the taste. What does this taste like? What does this remind you of? And sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. And then you can always also try cooking things in different ways. So you boiled it once, try it with the sauce. I let them dunk. They dunk in mayonnaise, dunk in cream cheese. That's okay. As long as they're eating that vegetable, it's going down. I'm
Yeah.
happy. And I know
So
eventually they'll get there.
so important. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. For anyone who's watching this, Taskeen and I like don't really know each other on a social or personal level. We just found each other on Instagram. And this is just our second time talking. But I love that because that's literally the rule in our house too. Like just one bite,
Right.
and it's perfectly okay if you don't like, if you don't want to continue.
Yeah.
And what will most often happen with my oldest one, he's the most resistant to trying new foods. He'll try it that one time and he'll say, "Oh, I hate it. I don't like it at all," blah, blah, blah. And he's allowed to have all of those feelings. Like, I don't go, "Oh my God, how can you be so ungrateful?" No, okay, oh, okay, well, I'm so glad. I'm gonna reinforce how happy I am that he tried it and he gave it a try
Yeah.
for his
Yeah.
sake. I'm not making it personal, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
And what will most likely happen is the next time I make it, he
Yeah.
will ask for just a little bit of that same thing that he had these amazing reviews about. He'll just want to try it again because now he's exposed to it. So he's like, "I'm going to try it again." And
Yeah.
the other trick I would give to moms is if you're reintroducing something in the beginning phase, reintroduce it close together. So
Okay.
if you're
Yeah.
trying cucumber and
Yeah.
the kids haven't had cucumber in a long time or they just don't like it, if you're trying it on Monday, then try it again on Wednesday and then
Okay.
expose them again on like Saturday
Right.
because it just
Yeah.
exposure helps.
Yes, it absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. So no, this is really good.
I tease my daughter sometimes, like if she's gonna try it, and I'm like, "Don't tell me it was so yummy. Don't tell me you enjoyed it," and then she starts laughing. So like don't have to make it like a chore. Like they want to eat their veggies, like you can make it fun. We got them books even, and they actually enjoy it when they read. It's funny, like characters of what the vegetables and what they're doing, and it's like reframing that we don't have to think that this is yucky and this is bad. It can actually be a natural part of your diet as well.
Yes, yes, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
Um, Anything, and so we're still on systems, and I think you've already mentioned a few systems that work really well. What about in terms of cleaning? So you said different days. I'll share one that's really helped me is when you have like a house full of kids and things are already like always messing up. I think for me, one thing that's really helped is having just one or two areas of your home that will constantly get
Mm,
messy and just allowing those to be the clean ones. Like
mm,
in your like I know for me the breakfast area, the where the table is, we eat all the time, and I'm perfectly okay as long as that area is clean. I'm okay if the upstairs doesn't look clean that day. So
mm,
just like lowering that expectation of myself as well, that okay, this area is clean, that was my focus and I got it done. But for you, in terms of cleaning and this is a trigger for so many moms, a messy
mm,
home. So how
mm,
can we create systems in a
mm,
realistic way
mm.
that doesn't overwhelm the mom, but still gives her the satisfaction that she's looking for?
Yes, I know it's such a tricky one because we have these huge expectations that the house is going to stay a certain way, and it's very hard to keep it up, especially when the kids are on holiday. So when they're on holiday, I do your method. I choose those areas that I'm just gonna make me feel okay. I feel sane that these areas at least are the ones that are okay. But I have to be flexible and adapt during the holiday time because I can't. I decided I don't want to be cleaning all the time and being exhausted from cleaning when I actually want to spend time with the kids and try and have a holiday myself in inverted commas.
Yes, yes.
On regular days, one of the things I do is I get the kids involved in cleaning.
Mhm.
So, and they're small, so I don't expect them to know what to do if I just say, go tidy your play area. So I supervise. I give them, we make it a game. I put a song, or I give them a task. I say everything off the floor. The floor need. I say what I call it. I say empty floor. I need to see an empty floor, so they understand that that must go. Or I say, okay, you work on your desk, and I separate them, and you work on these areas of choice, so that they have got their own areas. And you use the word in charge. You in charge of that, and you in charge of that, and and often I stay away. I don't have to do the cleaning with them, but that supervision does take some efforts. I won't lie, but it's worth it. So they are learning. They know it's their stuff, and I like them to get that feeling of putting things away themselves because I've created it. I That's the other thing. The other system is make it easy for them to be able to tidy up for themselves. So make things their height, depending on their age. I have things in categories for their toys as well. Everything has a place. Everything has a home, so that it's you're just making it more conducive for them to be able to do it. Otherwise, don't expect that they do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I do with. I get them involved when it comes to house cleaning and stuff. I like to have it's built into my routine for the week. I choose Mondays because then I know it's set. I feel more on top of things,
Mm.
and then Thursdays as well as a top up, and then weekends is just a little bit of tidy and whatever else that we need to do.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how I manage my time with cleaning.
Okay. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I think you rushed over the fact that you have systems created for the kids to be able to um, actually help you with cleaning. And I think that's a really big one where I remember there was this period when I had two younger kids. I had that really, the it's like all over the place, that toy storage unit where there's like multiple boxes and you have all of those things. That system didn't work for me because it was too many moving pieces. The kids couldn't put things back. It was too heavy for them. It would keep falling, and there was just too many boxes to it. And so I just simplified it by having like one big, like a big tub of, and they could just dump it, but it still looks clean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still doable for younger kids. So yeah, just
yeah.
having systems that work for you and your family doesn't have to look a certain way.
No, exactly. And again, find your rhythm, find what works for you. You got to observe your children. So, I would spend some time seeing how they're playing, what are they looking at, so that I can just optimize for them. I used to do a toy rotation when they were younger. And when we had more space, in UK, our houses are a little smaller. We can't do all of that. In Turkey, it was okay. So then that was helpful. So I didn't take all the toys out at one go. And I had baskets. It was very like Montessori inspired, the wooden baskets that they feel it's like a very calming atmosphere. And it's like literally per shelf, one toy, two toys, and that is more than enough for what they need.
Yeah.
And they had their structure. And then after about 3 or 4 weeks, I would rotate, take it out, put the next lot in. And that's also a nice way of working if you've got a lot of toys.
Yeah. I just want to also highlight that, when we say be the CEO of your home, I think what I'm hearing Taskeen say as well, she might not be recognizing this, but this how I see it too, is when you're in the kitchen, you're the CEO of the kitchen. So I think like myself as the head chef of a restaurant, how would a head chef run their kitchen, right? When I'm in the play area, I'm thinking how would the director of childcare run their like this space? If I'm like uh,
Yeah.
my I have to admit my closet and my drawer organization is the least organized, and I'm perfectly okay with that. We do not fold laundries in our home. We're perfectly okay with dumping, but I'm okay with that because it works for my family. Same thing for when you said Montessori, we have hooks that are our children's height so that when they come back from school they can hang their own clothes, because for them folding and putting things even in the drawer is such a hassle. So having hooks and things that are bags, when they come back from school, having hooks that are at their level so that they can actually do it themselves, it's so helpful.
Yes. And I think this is such an important part of when you were trying to like not get overwhelmed by cleaning and tidying, is then you have to create ways that the whole family can get involved, and that you are not, that everything's not on yourself.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
because you
yeah.
can't do it all sustainably.
No, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Any we're coming to our time. We've been talking for about an hour, and but anything else? I mean, we talked about apps and stuff. I will leave that for now because I think we covered a lot of ground, anyways. Um, is there anything else that you wanted to share, like, last minute things or things that you feel like are really important to this conversation, so that the women who are listening to this, the moms who are listening to this, can take away something and actually apply it in their homes right now, today?
Okay. Um, so it is the one thing I can maybe talk about is the if you want to like this reduce this mental load that we have, then which comes from, often it can come from too much that we are thinking that we have to do versus actually getting that going in our routine in our day to day. So if it's one thing you're going to do today, moms, is do the brain dump exercise. You got to get it out of your head and onto paper. You will be so surprised that some things, it can be a very healing exercise as well, because there'll be some things that you didn't even realize was on your mind that now that you see it on paper, actually becomes a reality. So this can be one very practical thing that you can do today. And make sure when you're making your categories of things that you need to look at, make sure you put yourself there as well. Don't underestimate the importance of simple things. I mean, we can do a whole session just talking about self-care.
Self-care, oh yeah.
But just very simply in that brain dump, make sure there's some time that you can put for yourself. And it does not have to mean a day at the spa. I really, really mean simple things in your day. A quiet cup of tea that you have by yourself, a lunch you eat without your phone, without anything, a few deep breaths you take before you move from one task to the other. Okay, I've given you three things already. Three simple self-care things you can do.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add to that, because I love that, before you get up from listening to this, I know if you're like listening to this while you're cooking, or this is just playing in the background, but right at the end of this, like, just grab a piece of paper and do it now, because if you let this say, oh, I'm going to do this after the kids' bedtimes or after this, you're probably not going to come back to it. So now that you're like feeling, inspired and motivated, do it now. That brain dump activity is so important. The only thing I'll add to that is, when you're writing down your goals for each category, as Taskeen described, make sure that you're giving yourself goals that are measurable and also objective. So for example, I used to do this all the time, is where I'll say, read Quran every single day. And as amazing as that is, it's just so vague. It's so up in the air. So now what I've done is read Quran for 5 minutes a day, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I know that may seem like such a small amount for some of you, but honestly, it works for me. If I don't do that, I might not read the Quran any of that week, And so if it's exercise, if it's like, whatever it may be that you want to be getting in, just make sure it's objective, and also something that you can measure, and it's realistic. It's small goals. It's like 2 minutes of this or 5 minutes of this, and that's what we're going for.
It'll have a huge impact on your day, your week, and the result in the end, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. I am again so happy that we had this conversation, Taskeen. Jazakallah khair for taking time out for this, and inshallah, it's beneficial to the moms who are listening to this. Please comment and share your thoughts on this, what your takeaway was from this, and inshallah, I think we can definitely have at least 5 more conversations, because there's so much more that we could have gotten into. But for time's sake, we will keep it at this, and again, we'll continue these kind of conversations on our page, so it can benefit everyone, inshallah.
Jazakallah for the opportunity, and it's been lovely talking to you.
It's been lovely on my end too. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.